We are not living in usual times. For starters, there's some wrestlers that can't even get to the shows at the moment as the world goes, no, you're not allowed to travel. And have you heard these other rumors? Apparently WWE was going to do some crazy mega story throughout the summer, but they canned it, they changed their minds because they needed the reactions of the fans to make it work. One person even said it was going to be like when Vince's limo exploded and everyone was like, oh no, Vince McMahon is dead. Who knows what they were going to do? So all this means it has opened the door for some other sports entertainers to get a push, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, I'm going to give you a few seconds or play a little bit of a game, see if you can work it out, and if you've been watching the television astutely, you should be able to, but even if you have no clue, that's what I'm here to do, because these 5 wrestlers are about to get a massive push. Why? Here's why. In at number 5, it's a nice and obvious one. It is the man, the hero, the legend, known as Otis. And just think about this for a second. When he did appear with his bro Tucker as Heavy Machinery in January 2019, that's when they got moved up to the main roster, who put their hand up and went, this guy is gonna win Money in the Bank in around about a year and a half time. If you're saying you said that, you're a dirty liar, go and apologize to your mother. I mean, he just felt like he was gonna be one of these lifer tag team dudes in WWE, and that was fine. I really like Heavy Machinery. I really like the chemistry these two have, but you didn't really see him doing anything else, did ya? Over the last few months though, not only has Otis been the highlight of SmackDown, but his story with Mandy Rhodes is the real thing that grabbed hold of all of this and sent it into the stratosphere. Because Otis was still doing his weird or whatever the hell he does, but for some reason you just love the hell out of him. He also had empathy and sympathy given how much Dolphy Ziggler screwed him over, and when he finally did get with Mandy at WrestleMania, it was one of those feel-good moments. And don't forget everything that happened at the Royal Rumble. If you didn't watch it, go back, watch it now. It's just flipping great. I mean, even if the plan is for him to fail in his attempt to cash in his briefcase because he does get screwed over by Dolphy Boy or whatever, maybe Mandy Rose does something to him and my own heart breaks in front of my eyes, that still counts as a push because, like I say, he's being focused on right now, certainly focused on, more than he was beforehand. Even if he decides to cash it in for the tag team titles, doesn't matter. All of this counts. Otis is your man right now, and I think that's something we should do. Because before you go, Otis isn't the right kind of person, oh yeah? When people watched a guy called the Ringmaster, they didn't think that he was the right kind of guy either. I don't know why I said it like that. The Ringmaster. It was Stone Cold Steve Austin. And my point is, you can just never tell. Moving on to number 4, make sure you don't hinder, because I'm about to talk about Jinder. Now, I will say I have absolutely no idea what WWE wants me to take away from the reemergence of Jinder Mahal, because when he first came back, he was clearly the same heel as he was before, but then he was doing an interview and he transformed into the babyface that he also was previously. You remember you had champion Jinder Mahal, oh, I'm so mad, but then you had, oh, I'm floating around on a cloud Jinder, and now they've kind of pushed these two together. It's really hard to keep up. But it does feel to me like there's a little bit of investment in Jinder Mahal right now, and let's not forget that Vince McMahon doesn't like to give up on these things, so maybe he's back on his, oh, we're gonna make Jinder a huge star and take over India. I mean, look what he did with the XFL. Not the best example, but he did, so he will try again. So we do need to sort out exactly what Jinder's deal is, but it wouldn't surprise me if before long he has not entered into a feud with Drew McIntyre. In fact, if I was a betting man, don't have any money on me, but I would say it's going to be Drew versus Bobby Lashley at Backlash, and then indeed we will move on to the Mahal man. I can't remember his nickname. And it kind of does make sense too. I mean, for one, they have their history in 3MB. 2, Jinder Mahal is a former WWE champion, so he's going after his belt. And 3, behind the scenes, Drew and Jinder are really good friends, and when you work with your really good friends, well, it helps. It just does. If I told you you had to work from Kate from accounts and you don't like Kate from accounts, so I say, okay, instead you can work with Rita from financing and you two get along like cows, well, you're just gonna be squeezing each other's udders. I did not mean to say that. Let's move on. I tell you what too, I don't mind this. I don't mind this at all, as long, of course, Drew McIntyre comes away with that World Championship. But look at Jinder Mahal. These days, it certainly appears like he would whoop your ass if he could. Why don't we give him another piece of the pie? Either way, Vince McMahon wants it, so there's nothing we can do, and that's the same for number 3. And of course, I'm talking about Nia Jax. I know, you're now screaming at your YouTube screen, being like, I don't want it. But just look at the evidence. She's already murdered Kairi Sane, which means Kairi joins AJ Styles and Sammy Guevara and Alistair Black and Rey Mysterio and other people that have been murdered in pro wrestling recently, but she's a monster, and Vince McMahon has liked monsters since day one. She's clearly going to get a push, and in fact it came out recently that it was going to be Becky Lynch versus Nia Jax at a pay-per-view until of course Becky Lynch got pregnant. That is definitely going to come round again. To be fair, it does bring up the point about which direction she heads in now, because it seems like on Raw we're going to do Asuka versus Shayna Baszler, but the winner needs someone to fight, e.g. Nia Jax, and in the meantime, I don't know, maybe she can go to SmackDown and eat Dana Brooke and Carmella alive. I have a clue. Sticking with other murmurings like this, and I'm a little bit worried because it's gone quite quiet, is number 2, which is Apollo Crews. Now, his plan was that he was going to get injured, and you can tick that box, he did get injured, but then he was going to team with MVP. But recently, MVP has teamed himself with Bobby Lashley, and I really hope we haven't pulled a fast one here. And even if we have, stick Apollo Crews in that group, those three would absolutely kick some bum. There is a plan in place here, however, although of course that can change depending on which side of the bed Vince McMahon wakes up on, but I hope that doesn't happen. Because ever since he was put on Raw way too early, he should have spent longer in NXT where he could have evolved a little bit more, Apollo Crews has been grossly misused. Go watch Hard Nation on the indie scene. This dude can do it all, but you gotta give him the opportunity, and you gotta stop telling him, oh, by the way, your character is Happy Smiley Guy. No one likes Happy Smiley Guy. Do you remember why people used to go die, Rocky die? It's because he was Happy Smiley Guy. So if he is going to come back from his devastating knee injury, make him be mad, make him be angry, and give him a healthy dose of attitude so he actually feels like he's got some kind of edge to him. And let's just say it doesn't work. You try and it fails, well then he can just vanish. And by my countings, I think Apollo Crews has vanished around about 72 times already. Who's going to care about attempt number 73? Nobody, but don't do that. This man will live up to expectations, but you gotta throw him in there to begin with. Which brings us on to our last pick, and he has been having a slow burn up until this point, but maybe now it's time to light the fire. It's Alistair Black, and Mr. I Like Being in a Dark Room is in such good graces with the powers that be. At one point, the conversation was, well, do we put Drew McIntyre against Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, or do we do something with Alistair Black? You don't have that chat if you don't believe in this man. So it seems like they do want to do something with him, they just don't know what that something is. However, when you watch the latest episode of Raw, it seems like there may be some kind of team with him and Rey Mysterio taking on Seth Rollins, don't call him Buddy Murphy. And there is something to that, especially because Seth is undoubtedly a top guy. And let's not forget either, when it does come to Alistair Black, he does have this cool factor. Because who else could have an entrance when they come out from a coffin with weird spikes on their shoulders, and we as wrestling fans and wrestling geeks don't go, that's ridiculous. We don't. We're like, oh man, that guy, he's so cool, I love him so much, and you need that. Alistair also has a finishing move that looks absolutely brilliant, and never pretend that doesn't matter when it comes to pro wrestling. Because if you do not watch pro wrestling and you're just flicking through channels and then you do see, again, a cool looking dude smash someone right in the face with his foot, you may hang around and he just may become your new favorite wrestler. I mean, it kind of worked for Randy Orton. The RKO was a popular meme for a while. People didn't even know what it was from. They just thought it was funny. So yeah, they are my 5 picks, and I will be surprised if they don't get a push. I mean, I'm not saying the push will work, but I think Vince McMahon will be behind them going, oh, I've got to try and get you as far up as I can. And also, let's give shout outs to the likes of Austin Theory, Sonya Deville, Mandy Rose, Andrade, Angel Garza. Let's do something with these people too, because I always enjoy fresh matches. Do I like moldy bread? No. Do I like fresh bread? Yes. And do I like fresh matches? You bet your damn ass. Because they all have something. They all have something. You just need to tap into it, like I tap my head. And as some people often ask me, does it hurt? Yes. Do sometimes I regret doing it? Yes. Do I worry that maybe I've suffered a concussion at least once? No. But you just never can tell. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know, one, what do you think about these 5 wrestlers? Are they going to get pushed? And also pick your 5 wrestlers and try and decide who Vince McMahon is about to kick up to the top of the card. Then like the video, share the video, subscribe to What Culture Wrestling. It's free, just click away. Head over to whatculture.com and read yourself some articles. Follow What Culture on Twitter at What Culture WWE. And make sure you watch videos here on What Culture Wrestling. Look at me conducting away. My name is Simon from What Culture. I've had way too much coffee today because I don't really drink coffee, but I was tired and I thought I'd have some caffeine, and now I've thrusted all this power and energy in your direction. But if you watch any of my videos, you know I have a rule against thrusting, which I've just broken, so now I too will ring my parents and apologise, because much like Vince McMahon, I don't just preach it, I teach it. I don't know what that means.